Okay, seat right next to Hannah.
Good evening, everyone, or afternoon rather. I'm so unaccustomed to afternoon events. It's such a pleasure to see you all here this afternoon. We are, of course, here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Rites of Spring, which is the National Poetry Month project of Plume Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Free Press. You'll be hearing much more about that from its editors in just a few moments. But I am John. I'm the event coordinator for Jaime Laye Bouw, and not someone who's randomly lined up. I also never get applause, so don't feel obliged. Before we begin, I would of course like to acknowledge that we are here today in Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Niniwak, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Vitally, McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land once occupied by the Métis community of Roostertown. Here to offer an opening song, please give a very warm welcome, and please do stand as we acknowledge Mikisew Bikwan. Thank you so very much. We will be moving along to the reading portion of the afternoon now. So the only thing I will put in your heads, if you are one of those folks who are going to be wandering behind this microphone stand, is to please do feel free to adjust it like so. If it's at an uncomfortable level, it should move fairly easily. We want to ensure that your words are heard. I'll also be hiding behind there, ensuring that the amplification is sufficient for all of your words this afternoon. One of the most particularly pleasurable things about these afternoons is the opportunity to hear from both established poets and new voices here in the city. And once again, Ariel Gordon, the editor of this project, joined this time by co-editor Charlene Diehl, have put together an incredible lineup for us, so I won't take up too much more of your time. I will introduce both of our editors and then turn the afternoon over to them. Ariel Gordon is a Winnipeg Treaty 1 territory-based writer, editor, and enthusiast. She is the ringleader of Rites of Spring and poetry editor for eco-journal The Goose. Her most recent book of poems is Sightseeing, writing nature and climate change across the prairies, written in collaboration with Saskatchewan poet Brenda Schmidt, and nominated for a Saskatchewan Book Award. I apparently cannot pronounce words. Ariel has been in the editorial trenches for many years and also in the poetic trenches for many, many years now too. So it seems particularly right that she's bringing her expertise to this project. Speaking of expertise, we of course are also joined by Charlene Diehl, who is a writer, editor, performer, former English professor, and the longtime director of Plume Winnipeg, the literary programming hub in Winnipeg. I think it would be accurate to also describe her as an enthusiast. She has published poetry, essays, reviews, and a memoir, Out of Grief Singing, a memoir of motherhood and loss, which is truly beautiful. She co-edited a jazz magazine for 12 years and is the producer of the Izzy Asper Jazz Performances. In 2019, she was justifiably honored with the Winnipeg Arts Council's Making a Difference Award for her contributions to the local arts community. Please give a warm round of applause to the editors.
Hello, everyone. I am so glad to see you all. But before we get going, does anybody not have a copy of the paper? All right, come up and get it if you do not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erna Buffy, do you want a copy of the paper? I could sense it from the back of the room that you wanted one. All right, so I would like to welcome you to the 10th anniversary edition of Rites of Spring. Woo. Thank you. You could clap, you don't have to, but you could. Now the traditional 10th anniversary present is tin or aluminum. I have a writer friend that we've been touring our books together, and I told her that I would give her the gray hairs at my temples and the shine off my teeth as our anniversary present. And then she gave me a little hammer pendant and said she would use it to beat me to death. So this is a more friendly anniversary. So what we're giving is you for their 10th anniversary is poems, because I think that poems are way more durable and flexible than either tin or aluminum. Who wants, you've made it 10 years, who wants a tin anything for their anniversary? Like almost no one. But anyways, tin or aluminum. So the past few years we've published 12 poems, and this year we splurged and selected 13 as a present to ourselves. Now we got over 104 submissions this year, which is the most we've ever gotten. And at 5 poems per submission, that's as many as 500 poems that Charlene and I read through. Yeah, think about all the hours that people spent writing that work. You know, people bent over a notebook or a laptop and working, right? And thinking about language and thinking about image and theme, and I don't know, I feel really humbled by that. And so if you submitted it and didn't get in, submit again, right? And keep writing above all. All right, so Charlene and I had a great time reading your poems to each other, trying to find the perfect mix of poems and people. And nothing is perfect, but I am so proud of these poems and these poets together and separately. So I'm going to read their names as a conglomeration, and if you could give them a round of applause, I'm sure they'd be happy. All right, Jaime Laye Bouw. Chicoine. Rosanna Deerchild. Evangelista. Godfrey. Dressay. Dana, who is not here, but she will watch it later. And if you clap for her, you know that thing when people are discussing you, you get the hot ears, the hot itchy ears? She's somewhere, she will get hot itchy ears. So applaud for Dana Medora too. Marjorie Poor. Spenser Smith. Ava Stokke. Vaisius. Demeter-Anemone Willow. Thank you. Now, in the 10 years that Rites of Spring has been publishing or been running, we've published 112 poets from every corner of the community. Emerging, people of color, urban, spoken word, Indigenous, established, rural, Black, LGBTQ+, newcomers, and page poets. And I sometimes get asked what my selection criteria is, which is the same, really, whether there's a theme or not. First of all, I am attracted to anything surprising that is also short. I mean, that's not my taste in romantic partners, but poems, yes. Beyond that, I try to choose emerging writers over established writers to make what is often their first experience in community a good one, where no one is weird to them, because people were weird to me when I was coming up sometimes. Just the odd time, some weirdness. So I want to build a diverse list and, by extension, a more diverse community. Beyond that, I want to honor older members of our community, mostly because it is such a treat to read poems by Sarah Klassen, the great Sarah Klassen. Can we have a round of applause for Sarah Klassen? Or George Mabile, or Catherine Bitney. I also want to support people who have books coming out and will sometimes ask to excerpt a poem from a book that's coming out, with an acknowledgement, of course. And finally, I want to support mid-career / established writers while knowing that they also have lots of other places to publish. But I can be seduced by a good poem. And since established writers both write good poems and submit every year, they get in despite my bias against them. So if you ever thought I was biased against you, then you were right. All right, so we are gonna have our first poet up to read. We had a wonderful situation happen where both a parent and child submitted separately, and we picked them, not knowing, until I looked down the database and I was like, oh, it's the same address. So that was kind of a wonderful situation to have happen. So I would, if you're looking to get in next year, maybe get your parent writing and identify it as a key element of your bio, and then maybe it'll happen again. All right, so Demeter-Anemone Willow has been writing since they could write and telling stories for longer. Their work explores themes of nature, isolation, emotion, and longing, and they are trying to be less of a hermit. Now, before Demeter comes up, do people want to open their paper and follow along? Because that's partly why I handed out the paper. So we need to get out of the way. It's like feeder mints, except worse. Oh, do you need a copy?
I have it at home, so I feel bad. But I have it. Okay. We'll share. Yeah. You have wasn't online, but
and you get the book section in that package as a bonus thing, which includes Melanie Brannigan Fredrickson's front page of the book section, which is all poetry this year. And you have to go, ooh. Excuse me, I didn't hear you. Ooh. See? All right, is everybody ready? Have they deployed their newspapers? All right, please welcome Demeter-Anemone Willow.
Bad at this. There we go. All right, hello everyone. Hello. Are you doing it all very well? Yeah. I'm terrified, so maybe we can switch. All right. All the flowers have names, whispered softly as I passed them. Chickweed and honeysuckle, iris, ground ivy, cosmos, poppy, pansy, daisy, All the plants have names we have forgotten or never known, speaking them gently on the breeze, anemone, fern, lilac. They come forth in color, lacing the air with fragrance, the beginnings of all fruit and all seed, some sweet, some bitter, all to be tasted by the earth and the body, all to become the bearers of our futures. Our stories here to live on, aster, goldenrod, hollyhock, grasses combed by the wind, trees grown tall and deep-rooted, marigold, violet, sweet clover, dandelion. We will go on to know another life, breathe the same air in different lungs, use all that we have found. And now I've been told to read it again. All the flowers have names, whispered softly as I pass them. Chickweed and honeysuckle, iris, ground ivy, cosmos, poppy, pansy, daisy. All the plants have names we have forgotten or never known, speaking them gently on the breeze, anemone, fern, lilac. They come forth in color, lacing the air with fragrance, the beginnings of all fruit and all seed, some sweet, some bitter, all to be tasted by the earth and the body, all to become the bearer of our futures. Our stories here to live on, aster, goldenrod, hollyhock, grasses combed by the wind, trees grown tall and deep-rooted, marigold, violet, sweet clover, dandelion. We will go on to know another life, breathe the same air in different lungs, is all that we have found.
Wow, talk about a seduction scene. I'm also just going to add to Ariel's parameters. One thing that I listen for when I'm reading poems, whether it's 5 poems or 500 poems, is a really strong sense of voice. And there's something so special about hearing a poet release the voice from the page and into the air. So you will find that a beautiful poem when you read it. But now you will have that gorgeous voice and delivery in your ear that gives you the cadence that person thinks in. Thank you, that was a beautiful reading. So terrified or not, I think you should do it again. Our next writer is TJ Evangelista. They are a prairie writer who enjoys learning about different cultures, listening to music, and spending time with her daughter. She studies peace and conflict at the University of Manitoba. Please welcome TJ Evangelista.
Everybody, I'm super nervous. I think this is online too, so it kind of makes it scarier. I feel like a million people are scared. It's not a million, but hi, this is my first time, so.
Fabulous girl!
Okay. Yamako Kakaiko. Transformed expressions of a father-grandfather spirit. Last weekend, my young daughter wanted to hear my dad speak Ibanag. And so she asked him. Voice changes. Tone is different. Shoulders soften. See his whole body unclench and relax. He sits different, like sinking into a lazy boy. As breath finds tongue, they instinctively begin a dance together. We hear a new kind of love frequency coming from the Ibanag. There slightly shifts the vibrato beating of the heart, paced compression of the lungs, that tighter push off from the diaphragm. when tongue is much softer, thicker, ornamenting air like spun sugar cane. I do not understand any of these words, but I know that it seems familiar, closer, like home. I'm gonna read that one again. My dad's here, so just yeah, I think it's gonna be better the second time. So this is my second time now, so relax, a bit more loose. Okay. Yamako Kakaiko. Transformed expressions of a father-grandfather spirit. Last weekend, my young daughter wanted to hear my dad speak Ibanag. And so she asked him. Voice changes, tone is different, shoulders soften, see his whole body unclench and relax. He sits different. He's sinking into a lazy boy. As breath finds tongue, they instinctively begin a dance together. We hear a new kind of love frequency coming from the Ibanag that slightly shifts the vibrato beating of the heart, paced compression from the lungs, that tighter push-off from the diaphragm when tongue is much softer, thicker, ornamenting air like spun sugar cane. I do not understand any of his words, but I know that it feels familiar, closer, like home. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So next, our next poet is someone that will be familiar to many of you if you have come to events at McNally Robinson before. Marjorie Poor is a super fan. She is the best, but she is also a great poet. And so I'm so glad to include her for the first time this year. I'm going to read her official bio, and then she will read for you. Marjorie Poor is an editor and writer in Winnipeg Treaty 1 territory. She and Diehl Harms published a chapbook of Sento's Voices That Haunt Us with Jack Pine Press in 2024. Please welcome Marjorie Poor.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There is the sidewalk underneath. After Sina Kera's, there was the moment of the puddle in the path. And the sidewalk is cracked, opening to the world. The sidewalk is treacherous, uneven, malevolent in its intentions to trip you up, send you flying. The sidewalk only pretends to lie flat, passive, placid, but shifts all shifty, loosening bits of concrete to be kicked along. The sidewalk collects dried leaves, twigs, wishes, chips of glass that slice souls open. The sidewalk is imprinted with the initials of lovers from when it was wet and new. The heart outline now broken and split. The sidewalk hides all this and more beneath the dark sheen of wide puddles in night rain. And I'll read it again. Sleep. There is the sidewalk underneath. After Sina Kera's, there was the moment of the puddle in the path. And the sidewalk is cracked, opening to the world. The sidewalk is treacherous, uneven, malevolent in its intentions to trip you up, send you flying. The sidewalk only pretends to lie flat, passive, placid, but shifts all shifty, loosening bits of concrete to be kicked along. Sidewalk collects dried leaves, twigs, wishes, chips of glass that slice souls open. Sidewalk is imprinted with initials of lovers from when it was wet and new, the hard outline now broken and split. Sidewalk hides all this and more beneath the dark sheen of white puddles in night rain.
That's a malevolent sidewalk in New York in January, and it just about broke my knee. Just thought you'd all want to know that. So they're out there. Thank you, Marge. That was a great poem. Ariel has sort of imposed upon these poets that they must read their poem twice. It's very anxiety-inducing for someone to stand up and read once. It's like doubly anxiety-inducing to have to read twice. But I think for all of us who are listening, that second time through, something else happens. You just get so much more. You can sink into what you sort of know is coming, but it's still a little bit of a surprise. So I'm here to say thank you, poets, for that anxiety-laden second reading. It's very generous for all the rest of us. Much appreciated. Our next poet is Spenser Smith, whose debut book of poetry, A Brief Relief from Hunger, was published by Gordon Hill Press in 2023. Please welcome Spenser Smith.
Hello, friends. My poem is called Catfish. The Assiniboine is still frozen, but soon it will break into a conveyor belt of ice and litter. I will binge watch this live stream until the melt is complete and I can break out my fishing gear. With a styrofoam box full of worms, I will try to lure little catfish from the riverbed. I imagine they take refuge amongst the shopping carts and mattresses this great city has discarded. No, concerned Wolseley resident, I will not keep anything I catch. I just like how they burp and gurgle, their soft underbellies resting in my hands. Catfish. The Assiniboine is still frozen, but soon it will break into a conveyor belt of ice and litter. I will binge watch this live stream until the melt is complete and I can break out my fishing gear. With a styrofoam box full of worms, I will try to lure little catfish from the riverbed. I imagine they take refuge amongst the shopping carts and mattresses this great city has discarded. No, concerned Wolseley resident, I will not keep anything I catch. I just like how they burp and gurgle, their soft underbellies resting in my hands. Thank you.
Sometimes it's best to address Wolseley directly. All right, so Plume Winnipeg took Rites of Spring under its wing 5 years ago for the 2020 edition of the project. Since then, they've provided invaluable support, administrative, promotional, financial. And that's why it felt right to have Charlene Diehl, the festival's executive director, as co-editor this year, except we asked her to wear her formidable poetry hat. Yeah, it's formidable. You can't see it, but it's there. So thanks to Charlene for all the work she's done, not only on Rites of Spring behalf, but also for literature in this province in general. I also wanted to flag that if you need more poetry after National Poetry Month ends, another project that is also nestled under that capacious wing is Speaking Crow, and which Angeline Schellenberg right there is the major domo of. Yes, applause for Angeline as well. Now, this long-standing poetry reading series, which gathers the first Tuesday of every month, will have its next gathering May 6th and feature Ottawa writer Christine McNair, and it will meet in person at the St. Boniface Public Library at 6:30 p.m. So I know that you have poems that you want to deploy. You didn't see anything. But yes, so do it there. Yeah, so next we have an absent poet. Dana Maduro, who is a professor of American literature at the University of Manitoba. She could not make it today. She asked me to read her poem. And so I will read it twice. I will feel the same anxiety as the rest of the poets, which I think is only fair. And Dana is a great poet and a great person, and I'm so glad to include her work. So you can pretend that she has ghost-like walked in front of the mic, and you could applaud for Dana Maduro. There you go. All right, this is called a sonnet. This is how it comes into being, by leaving winter's signature stillness, the sunlight tilting into the center of things. Spring gets inside, stumbling through open windows, pulling down glittering icicles, carried by time and warmth towards the earth. The mud tracked across the floor in paw prints, so vivid in outline and heft. It seems like all wildness is contained there, like something written on a temple wall, something about wolves and searching and the bright edges of the living. This is how it comes into being, by leaving winter's signature stillness, the sunlight tilting into the center of things. Spring gets inside, stumbling through open windows, pulling down glittering icicles, carried by time and warmth toward the earth. The mud tracked across the floor in paw prints so vivid in outline and heft. It seems like all wildness is contained there, like something written on a temple wall, something about wolves and searching and the bright edges of the living. Charlene is going to come up and introduce our next poet. I would like to say that drum carrier Mickey Sue Miquan will also be performing a song after Denise's poems, and we have given her tobacco. But please welcome Mickey Sue Miquan and thank her for her contributions tonight.
There's a certain difference in height between Ariel and me. Well, Ariel and almost everyone, to be candid. Our next writer is Denise Cook. She's the mother of 5, a beautiful sandwich of 2 girls, a son, and 2 more girls, her true loves. Grandma loves that, to 3 lovey grandsons, best love. North End from and to her heart. North End Women's Center Consequence. Please welcome Denise Cook.
Ashley Shingers. You shine today. You are not lost. You have strength. You hold on. You are not lost. You belong. You always did. I knew you had a name. I knew I'd know you eventually, Buffalo woman. You are not lost. Rest in love, Ashley. Ashley. Ashley Shingers. You shine today. You are not lost. You have strength. You hold on. You are not lost. You belong. You always did. I knew you had a name. I knew I'd know you eventually, Buffalo woman. You are not lost. Rest in love, Ashley. Ashley.
I'm really short. There we go. Typically I don't talk before I sing, but this song that I'm going to be singing is in the Anishinaabe. It is about a woman getting her identity in her clan, and I think it's just really important to go along with the poem because Ashley was finally given her identity back.
right, everyone, let's just take a few breaths. Now, the Winnipeg Arts Council was kind enough to support the poets' fees this year. The first couple of years of this project, I paid people in poetry loot bags. I shook down my publisher friends and asked them to give me swag and books, and then I would give them bags of things, literary things, but no money. And I think it's important to pay artists where you can. And so that's why I'm so grateful to the Winnipeg Arts Council this year. So, but that is not the only poetry good that the Winnipeg Arts Council does. So I'd like to bring Dominic Lloyd up to talk for a minute or two about all those good things. Now, if you don't know Dominic, he's the new executive director of the Winnipeg Arts Council. Yes. To this appointment, he was the program and arts development manager at WAC for 13 years. And before that, he was the artistic director of the West End Cultural Center for 5 years. And he's hanging out at the back because that's what all programmers do. He's like, I'm not sitting near the front. That's not for me. So back of the bus for Dominic. Please welcome Dominic Lloyd.
Thanks, Ariel. And thanks everybody else for being here. It's so fun to be here on a Sunday afternoon. I am the newly minted executive director of the Winnipeg Arts Council. Thanks. And if you don't know what we do, essentially you probably have heard our name here and there or seen our logo around. We're the agency that's charged by the city of Winnipeg to make sure that people can access the arts, that the city invests in the arts, that people can have the arts in their lives, because we believe that that is pretty much the most important thing that a person can aspire to and can achieve. So it means that we spend a lot of our time making sure that the city supports its artists, and that here for supporting of the arts. As Ariel said, there's quite a few different ways that we do this. We're actually one of the few cities in the country that has a program which provides grants to individual artists for creation. We're very lucky in Winnipeg to have that, and I know I can see people in this room who have accessed those programs before, and some really good things have come out of that. So it's a really, really important part of what we do. We also have, in addition to the work that Charlene and the folks at Plume Winnipeg does, in a city where we have two of Canada's leading literary poetic journals based out of here, it's really mind-boggling. The CV2 and Prairie Fire are Winnipeg institutions, Canadian institutions, and we're proud to support them at the Winnipeg Arts Council as well. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I do want to thank all of the poets for coming and sharing your work today. It's really important for us to be able to support people at all levels of their career. And as John was talking just off the top of the event today, and he pointed out that Charlene is a recipient of the Making a Difference Award from the Winnipeg Arts Council. That was back in about 2019, I think. We do awards every year that recognize not only contributions to artistic practice in the city from emerging artists, mid-career established artists, but also people who really do make a difference. And I think I can see 3 people in this room who've all won that. Clarice is here, Rosanna Deerchild is here. We're among greatness here, folks, and we're really, really happy that the Winnipeg Arts Council can keep supporting that and keep celebrating our artists. And lest I forget, McNally Robinson Booksellers also won that award about a decade ago in recognition of their support. And John and all of Winnipeg wouldn't be Winnipeg without McNally, I think. So thank you to the team here for everything that you do. The last thing that something tells me John's popping up. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The last thing that I want to do, thank you for letting me take up a couple minutes of your time, is introduce Winnipeg's new poet laureate. She's the fourth person to have this title since we began the program back in 2017, 2018. Di Brandt was the first poet laureate of Winnipeg, followed by Duncan McCurdy, and of course Chicoine Monday, who is now the Parliamentary Poet Laureate of Canada. So a really long line of greatness, and stepping into those shoes is Jen Still. And we're really, really lucky. So just to tell you, the job of the Poet Laureate is to create work. That's their job, to create work that reflects the city of Winnipeg, that is of interest to people who live in Winnipeg. And as they say, the Winnipeg Arts Council believes that the arts are what identify us, what make us who we are as Winnipeggers. And so that's Jen's job to exemplify that on the page and in the spoken word and whatever other discipline she chooses. She's a wonderful writer, she's a tremendous collaborator, and she's a heck of a curler too. I don't know if anybody else knows that. Please welcome Winnipeg's fourth Poet Laureate, Jen Still.
This is a room of love. This feels great. Thank you so much, Dom, and thank you, Winnipeg Arts Council, for making such an honor space for poetry. There could be 5, 10, 20 poet laureates at any given time, right? Like, just look at this room alone, right? We're all poet laureates. We're all doing the work. Thank you also to the Rites of Spring for inviting me today to be among these beautiful readings. The 2 readings, the poem read twice. I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but you hear it the second time and there's something new. And that's poetry. It keeps giving. It just offers, right? So I hope in my role that I can collaborate with the city of Winnipeg, and that's a big thought for me. That's very new in my very solitary practice, or my very the practice I keep with my friends and my collaborators. Charlene mentioned voice, and I think one thing I would like to bring to this role is to recognize the poetic voice in many forms. There's this, we've heard it today, in song, in really concrete, literal imagery, in experiences of the physical world, experiences of our bodies and our language. So today I have brought a piece of my poetry in its full expression, which is on the page. And I would please invite Clarice and Abby to just share some pages around the room. So I'm going to read a very short poem, and maybe you'll get to also hold it. And I invite you to hold the poem to the light. We have a curtain. I thought, oh, we're in the atrium, this is perfect. We'll have the biggest light. No sun and a curtain, but that's kind of the point. Since I found officially, accepted this role 12 days ago, I've made it a daily practice to lean into my page with a pen and to write poetry that selects words that are then surrounded by light. The words come from a book by a Belgian playwright, Maurice Maeterlinck, and it's called The Life of the Bee. And he wrote that book over 100 years ago. And I just always enjoyed the language of the book, but I feel like, in a way, poets are bees. We work at such detailed, particular subjects, and we build structures that have, I think, possibly very far-reaching resonance in the world, and the world couldn't live without them. To compose touch. There is a way. It is a curious labor. This is one. I myself believe the hand, the small, serves the horizon. Between the spheres, our own modern town, somewhat charmless, points to water. Follow the utmost possible space within these prismatic soap bubbles, boiled peas. The reason I present this curious chasm day after day, to and fro, and to. Ordinary conditions change. From the small to the small. I regard the flower, the bird, the secret we shall become. Here in the workers' city, to throw light upon the greatest possible thoroughfare, the free circulation of air. Lengthen the light. Let them imagine, top to bottom, the dome, a shape. Thank you.
Lucky city. Oh, beautiful work, Jen. One of the things that I've always loved about your work, Jen, is how material language is for you and how you also draw in other materials in your making. It's just, I don't know, it's just I just feel it. So thank you. And congratulations, WAC, for choosing Jen Still as our next poet laureate. We'll be enjoying your work, Jen. Before I introduce the next poet, I want to take a second here to give a big noisy shout out, well, me and all of you, to Ariel Gordon for running this initiative for 10 years. What? You can't possibly know all the stuff that happens behind the scenes to make one for one weekend per year. There's just a lot of moving parts, and Ariel just navigates that stuff with enthusiasm, a very positive attitude, a real can-do, let's get this done, but also a really strong sense of how important it is to celebrate poets and make room for all the kinds of knowing that poets bring to the table. So it's a huge contribution you make, Ariel, and I would just like to acknowledge that. And I'd also like to pause and say, did anyone notice how gorgeous the photos are in this spread? That is Michael Diehl, who's hiding at the back because he's always hiding. But what an eye! What every year after year, the poets feel so blessed to be seen in the way that they're seen and given space to be themselves in so many ways. So thank you, Michael. Just beautiful work. Beautiful work. Our next poem comes from a writer outside of Winnipeg, which is exciting. Jaime Laye Bouw lives and writes on Lake Winnipeg. Will you please welcome Jaime Laye Bouw?
Good afternoon. Tattoo. There is a garden where my breast used to be. Flowers and petals, yellows and blues, all claim space where desire once lived. An explosion of beauty, my lover used to say. Scar tissue now a garden of forget-me-nots. Tattoo. There is a garden where my breast used to be. flowers and petals, yellows and blues, all claim space where desire once lived. An explosion of beauty, my lover used to say. Scar tissue now a garden of forget-me-nots. Thank you.
Can we have another round of applause for Jaime and her beautiful poem? All right. Oh. Anyone want to heckle me? I'm a little overcome. Anyone got anything they could shout at me to like, oh, help me course correct? I mean Rosanna Deerchild, if anyone's gonna heckle me, it's gonna be Rosanna. Sometimes I like to encourage people to say things like, you call that a poem? Or, you know, not real heckling. Don't actually break in on any of the other poems, but yeah. Oh. Okay.
You got this, Ariel.
Thank you.
You're so beautiful.
Oh, I like that. So I would like to extend my thanks to the Winnipeg Free Press to agreeing to one of my midnight schemes. I'd like in particular to thank 49/8 section editor Scott Gibbons, graphic artist Lisa Diehl, and photographer Mike Diehl, who have done such great work these 10 years. And my day job right now is at the Free Press as a copy editor, but before that, when I was just a civilian working from home, I would literally be on the phone with Lisa and I'd be like, can you put like 4 more spaces between the of and the to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because poets use the page like a canvas. But the newspaper people are not used to that. So it was painful for her, I'm sure. But we got it done. Yeah. Now also, it usually pains me to say nice things about McNally Robinson event coordinator John Taves. Do your hand, can you do it? Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, he usually takes any opportunity when he introduces me to heap insults on me, but he didn't this time, so I'm gonna go low and he went high. So I can forgive him when I look back at 10 years of great events at McNally Robinson, launching Rites of Spring, standing room only events, happy making events. Yeah. So if you want to thank McNally, buy any book, but would you look at the books of poetry over there by people at this event, including Jennifer Still, including Spenser Smith and Charlene and Hannah and maybe me. So if you wanted to say to you know, put your money where your mouth is, those are the books. We could also clap. Yeah. And thank you to Charlene Diehl and her team at Plume Winnipeg, but in particular, Alina Moore for all of her support, and designer Brian Hyde-Smith for supporting the project since 2021. Now, I need to introduce you to Jean Chicoine, who's in front here. Yes, you can applaud for Jean Chicoine. Now, having earned a BA in linguistics from the Université de Québec at Trois-Rivières, Jean Chicoine left Quebec for Montreal, left Quebec for Manitoba in 1989 and has lived in Osborne Village since 1990. Wow. Yeah, he has written all his life, but only recently started publishing. And I'm going to read it in French. Bachelier en linguistique de l'Université du Québec à Trois-Rivières, Jean Chicoine a quitté le Québec pour le Manitoba en 1989 et vit dans le village Osborne depuis 1990. Il a écrit toute sa vie, mais n'a publié que sur le tard. 4 books published at Édition Dublé, if you want to look them up. So, Jean is not going to read his poem, I am, but he will stand up and you will, no, there's no standing up. He's right here. You can applaud for him. And I love this poem, so I'm so happy to read it. It's called What? War? What? War? Question mark. What? Question mark. War? Question mark. La guerre est au sol. La guerre est dans l'air. Elle rampe dans les villes. Elle se traîne délétère. Insulte à l'intelligence, bafouement des êtres. Elle est surtout et avant tout dans nos têtes. Elle est effet de perspective, elle est injure blasphème, jeu de miroir, bavant des blessures, clamant la paix dans ses dédales de torture. Elle est surtout et avant tout dans nos cœurs. Nous sommes tous complices, tous coupables. La guerre est au sol, la guerre est dans l'air. Elle rampe dans les villes, elle se traîne délétère, insulte à l'intelligence, bafouement des êtres. Elle est surtout et avant tout dans nos têtes. Elle est effet de perspective, elle est injure, blasphème, jeu de miroir, bavant de blessures, clamant la paix dans ses dédales de torture. Elle est surtout et avant tout dans nos cœurs. Nous en sommes toutes complices, tous coupables. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. That is something I could not do, but I do love to listen in French. When you publish your next book, I'm going to come and hear you read in person. How's that? I won't be able to understand it, but I love the sound.
Okay. How many people understand French?
How many people can hear in French here? Oh,
Yeah,
quite a lot.
Right here. Okay. Yes.
Very funny. You just got yourself some new audience members, though.
What?
You just got yourself some new audience members when you
Yeah,
launch that next book. Our next writer is Andrew Vaisius, who was an early childhood educator for over 30 years, as well as being an editor, reviewer, and poet. His work appears in 5 anthologies, over 20 periodicals, 4 chapbooks, the latest being In Vey in 2024, and 1 book, Retirement, published by Flat Singles Press in 2020. Please welcome Andrew Vaisius.
Thank you all for coming. The title of this poem is Transit. It is dark. A woman waits for the light to change. I see her half a block away, no cars coming. The street's deserted except for her, and I pass her. It is one of those long side street lights. She waits, and I wonder if the light is malfunctioning. Will she still be there in the morning? I bring her coffee and croissant, discuss morning news and last night's concert. Meanwhile, we'll marry, have kids, a house with a large bookcase, look sharp, but finally fall out of grace. The light blinks green and off we go separately in search of another light. Transit. It is dark. A woman waits for the light to change. I see her half a block away. No cars are coming. The street deserted except for her, and I pass her. It is one of those long side street lights. She waits, and I wonder if the light is malfunctioning. Will she still be there in the morning? I bring her coffee and croissant, discuss morning news and last night's concert. Meanwhile, we'll marry, have kids, a house with a large bookcase, look sharp, but finally fall out of grace. The light blinks green and off we go separately in search of another light.
So of our father and child pairing, our parent and child pairing, that is the parent. So we're closing the loop. Yeah, again, parent-child in combinations, that's how you'll get in next time. Or if you can figure out like adoptive siblings, or I don't know, any other combination that you can think of, I'd go for. All right, so next we have Ava Stokke, a university student from Winnipeg, currently studying law. Please welcome Ava.
Hi everyone. Hi. My poem is called People Watching. Sometimes I think of you in the pauses. I can see you standing on a street corner, delicate hands shoved in the pockets of your big brown overcoat, the one your father gave you for Christmas that makes you look like a skyscraper. When you board the bus, you rehearse what you'll say when you get to the party, where you'll stand next to someone I'll never know, laugh at a joke I'll never hear. Some mornings, when I look outside my window, the other houses look like you. People watching. Sometimes I think of you in the pauses. I can see you standing on a street corner, delicate hands shoved in the pockets of your big brown overcoat, the one your father gave you for Christmas that makes you look like a skyscraper. When you board the bus, you rehearse what you'll say when you get to the party, where you'll stand next to someone I'll never know, laugh at a joke I'll never hear. Some mornings, when I look outside my window, the other houses look like you. Thank you.
That's great. All right, so the Winnipeg Free Press has one of the last book sections in Canada, and it's edited by Ben Sigurdsson. Between that and the Rites of Spring, they're pretty invested in the local and the literary, which is reason enough to support them, right? And where else are you gonna get your local news, right? I'm just saying. But they also have the Free Press Book Club, which was one of the good things to come out of the pandemic. So April's meeting, which will be live streamed on YouTube, is Monday, tomorrow, April 29th at 7 p.m. Now this book, this is the book they'll be discussing tomorrow. It's a short story collection. It's called Death by a Thousand Cuts by Shashi Bhatt, who is based in New Westminster, BC. So if you've read the book already, it's been on the bestseller list for weeks. The book club costs nothing to join, and there's McNally staff and Free Press staff, and they ask questions, and it's a pretty good way to spend an hour or so. So May's selection may or may not be my book. Fungal Foraging in the Urban Forest, and that meeting is May 27th. This is not a paid advertisement, but yes. So the Free Press, the book club, and I also want to say that we have in your package of poems, the package that you got, it includes the book section. So if you haven't seen it recently, maybe have a look. And it's got Melanie Brannigan Fredrickson's full page poetry review for Poetry Month on the cover. So yeah, so yay! Hey, Melanie. All right, so our next poet is Hannah Godfrey, or Hannah G, who is a British-Canadian writer, artist, and curator. Her practice is informed by curiosity and delight, and recurring themes include home, recollection, queer echolocating, and myth-making. Please welcome Hannah Godfrey.
Lovers who sleep. People pass, quiet as traffic, by the kitchen window. Thank goodness you are in my bed. There's a fellow I know who stirs at 4 to ride at 5 until, at 7, his lover awakes with reliable desire, and hours pass before their salaries tug them apart. The thought of them taps against me, a cheap blind against a dark window, while you lay sleeping. My bed is our bed. I woke with thoughts, loose-limbed and tired. You are curled up, alive and dreaming. That's not normally how I talk like this. And this isn't a real cigarette, it's a pencil. Lovers who sleep. People pass, quiet as traffic, by the kitchen window. Thank goodness you are in my bed. There's a fellow I know who stirs at 4 to write at 5 until at 7 his lover awakes with reliable desire, and hours pass before their salaries tug them apart. The thought of them taps against me, a cheap blind against a dark window, while you lay sleeping. My bed is our bed. I woke with thoughts loose-limbed and tired. You are curled up, alive and dreaming. Thank you.
I like that, smoking a pencil. I never got into smoking, but I think I could handle a pencil. Our next reader is Manitoba-born Anne Dressay. She has published 3 books and 2 chapbooks of poetry. After 41 years elsewhere, she moved back, wisely, I might add, to Winnipeg in 2020. Please welcome Anne Dressay.
Hi. This poem is based on what I consider one of the great things about growing up outside the city. It's called Winter Night in Flat, Manitoba. You drive out of the city on a clear winter night and turn off the main highway onto a road untroubled by streetlights. And the land comes out of the dark with its own light. Winter stretches out to a horizon you'd forgotten was there. Winter, broken here and there by the connect the dots of fence posts, or a blur of bush, or the geometric shape of house or barn. Sky expands and pulls away, lit by multiple stars. Who knew there were so many? Who knew they shine so bright? Who knew they could be so impossibly close and so remote at once? And if the moon is big, Night is almost day, a ghostly landscape washed in pale blue. The fields flow by, but the sky does not. Its huge dome unmoving above you, until the city begins to seem the only place within human dimension. And this is either fear or freedom. Winter night in flat Manitoba. You drive out of the city on a clear winter night and turn off the main highway onto a road untroubled by streetlights. And the land comes out of the dark with its own light. Winter stretches out to a horizon you'd forgotten was there. Winter broken here and there by the connected dots of fence posts, or a blur of bush, or the geometric shape of house or barn. Sky expands and pulls away, lit by multiple stars. Who knew there are so many? Who knew they shine so bright? Who knew they could be so impossibly close and so remote at once? And if the moon is big, night is almost day, a ghostly landscape washed in pale blue. The fields flow by, but the sky does not. Its huge dome unmoving above you, until the city begins to seem the only place within human dimension. And this is either fear or freedom.
So the last 5 years, we've had 12 poems by 12 poets. And we've always usually repeated one or two people. And this year we had such a richness of poems. We were like, we're not gonna repeat anyone. Everyone will be appearing for the first time. And then Rosanna Deerchild submitted. And first of all, Rosanna Deerchild, how could we not take a poem by Rosanna Deerchild? And so we said 12 new poets and one great old poet. Rosanna appeared, she's not old, I'm older than she is. She appeared in the very first installment of Rites of Spring in 2016. And I know it's cheap, but loop's closing, my friend, loop's closing. So before I introduce Rosanna properly, I have one more thing to announce. A month ago, when this year's poems were just starting to roll in, I had a meeting with At Bay Press's Matt Jodry. And he's published my work so far, and he's always up for poetry foolishness, and my poetry foolishness in particular, which I always like in a person. At that meeting, I pitched him on an anthology celebrating 10 years of Rites of Spring and the 112 poets we've featured so far. And I didn't even have to ply him with liquor. He said yes, almost right away.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and yes, so yeah, that's great. There hasn't been an anthology of Winnipeg and Manitoba writers in quite a while now, and I think we're due another one. So he said yes, so we've already set a pub date, fall 2026. And so if you're a Rites of Spring poet in the audience, expect to hear from me in the coming months as I email to get your permission to use your poems in the anthology. And then we'll have an enormous launch where people will just come and go continuously. 112 of them. You can come and go, you can leave, you can go to the bathroom, I promise. So I'm so pleased about that. Yeah, so you're gonna be in the anthology. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, So I would also like, before I introduce Rosanna, is to acknowledge the sponsor of the drum carrier, Mikisu, and because we've acknowledged all the other people. So that is the Heart of the City Creative Arts Hub for North Point Douglas, which is a hub program of the Management Writers Guild. So thanks to them for supporting that. Because it's been so great to have Mikisu Mikon here, and she'll be doing a closing song. All right, Rosanna Deerchild, the great Rosanna Deerchild. All right, so Rosanna Deerchild is Cree from Opipon Ni Piwan Cree Nation. She is the author of 3 books of poetry, This is a Small Northern Town, Calling Down the Sky, and She Falls Again, and 1 play, The Secret to Good Tea. Please welcome Rosanna Deerchild.
Thank you, Ariel and Charlene and McNally Robinson, John, the superhero behind the curtain. Thank you. Hello, Internet. How are you? Am I the last one? Okay, that's what happens when you don't answer emails, people. You're last. But that's okay because I got to hear all your beautiful, gorgeous, poignant, mysterious, at least to me, makes me French, heartbreaking and heart-lifting poetry. Thank you so much for your poems. Oh my gosh. And your drumming, oh, what a gift, what a gift. Thank you so much, everybody, for including me in this. And me and my mom are not together in the collection, but I did write a poem about her, so it kind of counts, right? Closing the loops. Okay, here we go. Mama's walk. Walk straight, Mama said. Keep your head up, my girl. But there are days when my head bows, my body folds into a question mark. Days when I want to crawl into an ending. I remember that story of when Mama was a girl. Sent alone on the trap line, she walked straight out of the bush, broken but brave. I straighten my back, find my horizon, and rise. I'm a big fan of my mama. She's a pain in my arse, but she's my mama. I would be remiss to not point out this is my latest book, She Falls Again. Please buy it because I need the royalties. There we go again. It's true. You don't make any money on poetry, my friends. I'm just saying. Gotta do it for love. Mama's walk. Walk straight, Mama said. Keep your head up, my girl. But there are days when my head bows, my body folds into a question mark. Days when I want to crawl into an ending. I remember that story of when Mama was a girl, sent alone on the trap line. She walked straight out of the bush, broken but brave. I straighten my back, find my horizon, rise.
All right. Before we do the closing song, I would just love to have one last round of applause for all the poets and all their bravery and all their goodness and all of you for coming.